Good evening, you're watching Estuary TV News. Coming up, we find out why local authorities want parents to take advantage of free child places. And it's the first of big questions to little kids.
Hello, we are the pupils from Alton Primary School in Immingham.
And joining me in the studio is Councillor Steve Besant, and we get his reaction to that show. Welcome to Estuary TV News. I'm Hugh Riches. First, it's over to Richard Morris for the news.
Hello there. Hundreds of parents in the region are missing out on free childcare for 2-year-olds that was extended in September, and it's believed parents don't know they're entitled to the free places. In the East Riding, only 60% of eligible parents are signed up, but the authority does expect this figure to rise. Over 70% in North Lincolnshire, which is among the highest in the country, but they have admitted it's harder to reach parents in rural wards than those in urban areas.
So we always want to see a higher take-up. I mean, obviously, sometimes they're harder to reach parents, and obviously we have to do more work. But I think the fact the government have acknowledged that we've done so well here in North Lincolnshire, that our take-up has been so high, has obviously put us in the higher quartile of our local authorities in the country. So more to do, but we're proud with our success so far.
Lincolnshire Police are asking for any information about a shed burglary in Woodall Spa. It took place between the 18th and the 20th of November on Stanhope Road. A large red toolbox, which was full and would require 2 people to lift it, was taken from the shed. The clerk of Healing Parish Council, Kathy Pears, has been reinstated in her job with immediate effect. She was suspended earlier this year while an audit was carried out into the council's finances. This followed a previous audit of Greatcoats Parish Council, where she had been parish clerk. It was this audit which prompted Healing to also carry out its own. Ms Pears is also parish clerk to a number of other parish councils who, we understand, have all stood by her during this period. Healing Parish Council have said they won't issue any further statement on the matter. Dong Energy has become the latest in a big line of organisations to join the Bondholders Association. Bondholders are a group of around 250 businesses that meet and promote the Humber region. The businesses come from all different sectors, from offshore wind to the education sector, and Dong Energy is the latest company to join this association, which met at the Grimsby Institute to discuss offshore wind on Tuesday.
Well, first of all, we are very close to completion of Westermost Rough. The O&M team that is going to run the Westermost Rough offshore wind farm for the next 25 years, they have mobilized, and we are close to opening our O&M base in the Royal Dock. So I think now is a very appropriate time to join. It has always been very close to my heart to be involved in the local community, and this event is about networking and showing our commitment to the area.
That's it from me. Bye for now.
Thank you, Richard. It's a hobby which has been around in various forms since the 1840s, when people ran miniature trains on their carpets. Now, the hobby trains have been getting more and more like their real counterparts. You can now buy exact scale models of full-size trains, and with a wide variety of scenery materials, you could create your very own miniature town. At one club in Scunthorpe, they've been doing just that since 1963. Richard Morris went along to find out more.
It's one of the oldest and longest running model railway clubs in the country. Now, after finding new premises last year, the club is going from strength to strength. The group meets at Grange Farm Hobby Centre, and they help each other in constructing layouts for the displays and exhibits. The club attracts a wide variety of ages.
The youngest member will be about, now will be about 13.
And are they just as enthusiastic as some of the older members?
Yes, just as enthusiastic. As you've already seen, there's a layout being built by a youngster and myself, and he's autistic, which we try to cater for, and it's come out quite well, I think. Mostly people develop their own layouts, but there's probably 2 or 3 people involved on each layout. There's not many layouts built with just one person.
Last week, the club ran its 22nd annual show, showcasing to the general public and raising funds for the organisation. This year saw many new attendees going to the weekend's activities, including over 120 children who wanted to control and drive the trains themselves. This year, there were 8 layouts the public could see, 5 of which were new to the club. The club chair hopes that by running the event, they'd encourage more to join.
That's one of the objects of the exercise, but it's to convey to people what can be done if they want to join us.
Over 800 people attended this year, so how do new members join?
They can come any Tuesday night and Friday night to the Hobby Centre. We're here from 6 till certainly 9:30, sometimes 10. So they're more than welcome to come and have a look what we've got. If they've got some skills, they'd like to join us. If they haven't got any skills, it doesn't matter. If they're prepared to learn, we're prepared to teach.
So even if it's someone who, say, you know, they're not very good with glue, they're not very good with paint, but they just want to sort of have a go with the trains, is that okay?
Yeah, there's no problem there. People have in the past done nothing but run. Some people come and read the books and whatever we've got in the library. Just anything to do with railways. If you're interested, come along.
You're watching Estuary TV News. Coming up, the pupils of Allerton Primary School in Immingham star in Big Questions to Little Kids.
And join me later with all the sport.
Well, if you weren't watching Skint last night, then what were you doing? The Channel 4 reality programme returned for Series 2 and this time focuses on a group of people from Grimsby. It's caused some in the town to complain about how the area will be portrayed. Joining me is East Marsh Ward Councillor Steve Besson. Steve, many thanks for coming in.
Hello there.
You watched the programme last night, I take it?
Yes, I did. I watched it at the Grimsby Evening Telegraph.
And what was your response?
Let's face it, it could have been anywhere in the UK. A lot of it was played around the fishing industry and alcohol. Fishing industry has been long dead, it has, many, many years ago. That situation could have been around the Bullingham Club or Oxford University. They're well associated with alcohol, they are. So they could have been having a skinful last night in their situation. So alcohol is associated with many particular problems it is. And the people of East Marsh are not the only people associated with alcohol. They're not the only people associated with prostitution or crime. Take Kensington and Chelsea, for example. I know for a fact there's deprivation in those areas. So if Skint had gone to Kensington and Chelsea, they could have found a small pocket of that area and they could have painted it in the same sort of light.
To be fair, at the beginning of the programme, the introduction of the voiceover did say that you could find areas like this in any part of the country. And that it's not specifically about Grimsby, it's just using Grimsby as a microcosm to demonstrate something much larger.
Exactly. I'm not saying we haven't got problems in the East Marsh, and we know we have, and we've got to overcome them. East Marsh needs a lot of regeneration. Housing for one, and I admit that. But what the programme did bring out, in my opinion, was a lot of family values as such. Let's take the lady who was having a go at a boyfriend. She brought out the fact that she's a royalist as such. She brought out some good, honest family values as well.
Well, that's an aspect of the great British working class, is that it's tremendously conservative in some ways, isn't it? It looks back to these sort of old values. There might be people abusing drugs here and there, but you're in great trouble if you don't hold your knife and fork properly.
Exactly, and to be honest, I know her house wasn't particularly clean, but she was saying that she tries to do her very best in very difficult circumstances. And I believe every one of those characters in that film was trying to do the best. But we've got to remember how that film was put together, because we only saw the bad bits of the actual scenery, if you get what I mean, as I classified the docks in many respects. We didn't see none of the renewables, which was only 20 yards away. as such. So we just saw snippets of such. We didn't see none of the community spirit or whatever. I go down to Shalom quite often, I do. And that is the first time I've seen a gang of youths outside Shalom in all the time I've been there. I don't know who brought those children along. Was it encouraged by the filmmakers?
I don't know. I can't speak for Channel 4. You mentioned alcohol and prostitution, which are universal. Alcohol can be, the most beautiful wine, or it can be a tin of special brew. Prostitution is the oldest profession. What is maybe a little bit more unique to the East Marsh is quite the degree of crime. You said everybody's trying to do their best, and they pointed out that sometimes the only way they can do their best, or they feel the only way they can do their best, is to deal drugs, or to steal, or to burgle. Is there any sort of justification for that crime? If you're in that sort of state, are you no longer responsible for your own behaviour?
As I said, I accept we have got problems and we've got to overcome those problems. But crime has fallen in the East Marsh tremendously over the last 5 to 10 years. And I think that's absolutely great. But anybody who's a victim of a crime is one too many in the East Marsh. And particularly burglary is a nasty crime. And that is the type of crime a lot of these individuals are carrying out. And while we've got one burglary a year, that is one too many. And there's a lot more than one in the East Marsh in a year. And to be honest, we need to be really clamping down on that. But let's face it, if we go anywhere else in the UK, we'll still get 1 or 2 burglaries, we will do. But my aim is to make sure that everybody's protected safe is. And to be honest, we've really got to clamp down on it, we have. And we've got to stop this vicious cycle of them going to jail, coming back out and going back in again.
What do you think is the motive of the filmmakers?
The motive is to sell to the audience out there, it is, to get the revenue from the advertisers as such. They want people to have their say on TV. They can be as foul-mouthed as they want, and to be honest, I think they was prompted as such, because I know a lot of those characters, and their language was a lot stronger last night than I have ever heard.
Why is it, if the programme makers are doing it to gather the audience, which is of course they are, why is it that the audience is so interested in seeing these programmes?
I think people are rather intrigued, they are. They like to see a different world. And they saw a different world last night, and I saw a different world. I'm out and about on my bike every single day in the East Marsh, on foot. And I saw a completely different world to what I've seen.
It's Steve Besant. Thank you very much for commenting on Skint on Channel 4 last night.
Thank you very much.
Next one on Channel 4 next Monday, of course.
I'll be watching it.
This year, the government doubled the number of parents eligible for free childcare for 2-year-olds. It's an offer that not everyone's accepted, but it's been welcomed in North Lincolnshire, which has one of the highest take-up rates in the Yorkshire and Humber region. Reporter James Dunn went to see what the places mean for some of the 606 parents and carers in the authority who are now reaping the benefits.
Holding down a job with young children at home is never an easy balance to strike. Not only is it exhausting, but sometimes childcare costs can make going to work almost pointless, an injustice this government has promised to right.
Being a mum, you don't just think of you, you've got to think of what your child's going to do and then think of you. It's constantly, you never stop thinking, never stop worrying. You're constantly keeping an eye on them, making sure they're not getting into trouble. They take up a lot of your time. To be able to work and not have any childcare, it would be impossible. It would be impossible.
And these places are not just for working parents. Those in receipt of benefits or on low incomes are also eligible.
Those families who are hopefully aspiring to return to work and obviously getting children into childcare placement, that really does help. But also those on lower incomes as well, which of course who benefit greatly as a result of the money that the government gave to us here in North Lincolnshire. The evidence is that, the younger you get your children into an education type style setting, the better their personal development will be, their attainment levels will be better when they start to get into full-time education. Of course, the interaction with other children makes a massive difference too.
The government claims that nationally, 40% of parents are now eligible for up to 15 hours of free childcare for 2-year-olds. Here in North Lincolnshire, 71% of those have accepted the offer. But regionally, it's much lower. It's understandable that some parents may not want to leave their children at such a young age.
I've got a friend and she's totally against, she's got a 2-year-old exactly the same as Grace, and she's totally against leaving her son. She doesn't want to send him, and I always try to tell her the benefits that I've seen in Grace and things, but at the minute she's not budging at all.
But many believe there are real benefits to spending this time with other children.
Parents will find it difficult, you know, their children are the most precious thing to them. They want to be doing the best for their children, but ultimately they have those difficulties bringing them into settings like ourselves.
She's only been here 2 months. Her social skills have come on amazingly. The way she interacts with other children, the way she interacts with me.
Yeah, the benefits they get from playing and socialising with other children of their age is brilliant, and the parents and the children, you know, grow, and you can see that development in a short space of time, to be honest.
And it's quite clear that these children don't mind being left alone one bit. James Dunn, Estuary TV News.
And now it's over to the first in our new weekly feature, Big Questions to Little Kids. And this week it's the pupils of Allerton Primary School in Immingham answering the question, what do you think your local MP does?
Hello, we are the pupils from Allerton Primary School in Immingham. What does your local MP do?
He just helps get new things in the areas, new shops and statues and things like that.
He makes parks all safety and everything all safety. So when kids cross the road, they don't get run over or accidents happen.
Helps provide what we need, like shops and houses in different areas and more facilities for schools to use.
I think it helps this country and all different countries with the shops and everything.
He helps towns be better places for people to live in.
Well, he tries to make this area a better place, i.e. the building of Tesco and all redevelopment to Immingham and the swimming pool.
He fixed houses, and these fixed things are broken. His fixed things are really plastic. He fixed things when it's glass. He fixed things when are really easy to smash.
Next week we'll feature the pupils from Paul Primary School. Right, it's time for sport now, and it's over to Dan Kemp.
It's second versus third in the Conference Premier this evening. Grimsby Town host Woking in the clash at Blundell Park, which kicks off at 7:45. The visitors have 2 games in hand on the Mariners and sit 1 point below them. We've got some rugby union results to bring you from the weekend too. Hull Ionians were the victors by 29 points to 14 against Harrogate on Saturday in National League 2 North. This Joe Makin try, 8 minutes into the game, set the side off for another fruitful afternoon. Joe Sanders went over 6 minutes later before a penalty try was awarded early in the second half. John Steele rounded off the scoring with 16 minutes to go with this effort in the corner, meaning the side remained top. Hull RUFC have been less fortunate results so far this campaign, but they also picked up a valuable win. They won 33-30 at the league's bottom club Stockport, having been 22-7 down at the interval. Across the Curds and Hull Kingston Rovers have completed another new signing for next season. They've acquired experienced NRL prop Mitchell Allgood from the Parramatta Eels. The 25-year-old has put pen to paper on a 3-year deal at the KC Lightstream Stadium, making the club's 12th new signing for next season. He joins up with former Eels teammate Ken Seo for 2015. North Ferriby United have handed 2 senior deals to international players. Hungarian-born David Kosis has been part of the Man United youth setup, and Busilano Kashilembo, and they've both appeared for the reserves. They've both made their senior debuts as well against Reckitt's last month. And finally, Lincolnshire's Georgie Twigg has travelled out with the England hockey team to Mendoza in Argentina for the Champions Trophy. It starts on Saturday, November the 29th. England are in Pool B, which also features Argentina, Germany and Australia, who they'll face in the first game of the tournament. And that's all for me.
Before we finish, I just want to read out some of the comments from social media on last night's Skint. Sam Whitaker writes, "Fisherman that wants to work, lad done wrong who wants a family, right attitude, bad circumstances, not all their fault." Hannah Coleman writes, "I'm from Grimsby, live and work in Grimsby, and I'm proud to be from Grimsby. Like every town or city, it has its poor areas." Becky Barnes writes, "I'm from Grimsby, I've been on benefits. Please remember every family is different and that every town has its varied residents." And Josie Gray writes, "Live here, work here, get involved in all the great happenings in Grimsby." There's quite a lot of positive defence of Grimsby in the Twitter sphere there, Steve.
Yeah, it's a great place to live. I've lived here all my life, except for 9 months when I emigrated to go to Canada. I come back to marry my wife. It's a fantastic place. There's plenty to do. We've got many, many voluntary organisations which are doing good work. We've got some fantastic buildings. I think Grimsby is on the up.
The social media would tend to suggest that people are very defensive of Grimsby, that the people who've been commenting on this programme take a great deal of pride in their town.
Yeah, I think we ought to revert back to Great Grimsby. It is a great place to live. Where else can you go and get the people like we are? We're rock solid, we are. We're the salt of the earth people, as I describe them. And the fantastic people. It's a great community spirit out there. In the East Marsh, Humberston, you name it. I've moved over the border, Ed, but you name it. The whole of North East Lincolnshire. It's a fantastic place, it is. West Marsh, you name it, Yarborough, the great people.
One more tweet here from Wayne Kerman. "Here's the perfect opportunity for Estuary TV to redress the balance, produce a programme that shows the successes of our region. It would be refreshing to see a positive reality TV programming depicting the achievements everyday people in the area have done." Quite right too. Brilliant. That's all we have time for tonight. Thank you, Steve. Join me tomorrow evening when my guest will be international singer and Grimsby lad Michael Dorr. Contact us on the usual ways. Email news@estuary.tv or contact us through the social media via Twitter or Facebook, or pick up the phone and call 01472 315561. Until tomorrow, goodbye.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather for Wednesday. It's going to be overcast and dull with hill fog and spells of rain. The highest temperatures along the coast, but feeling much colder than reality due to a southeasterly breeze developing. Generally feeling cold. Maximum temperature 7 degrees. On Thursday, cloud and patchy rain will gradually clear, then dry and brighter spells will develop. Maximum temperature of 9 degrees.